Well, welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Keith Wanowski. I'm going to be one of your hosts. I'm a social hero based out of the town of Franklin, Tennessee. If you're familiar with Tennessee at all, it's just south of downtown Nashville, about 15 miles. Today with me, I've got a co-host, also a social hero, Mike Schmizik out of Colorado. Say hi, Mike, and welcome everyone.
Everybody, Mike Schmizik. My office is located in Denver, Colorado, and I'm excited to present this webinar today.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, Mike, why don't you also let them know about if there's technical difficulties, that kind of stuff, what they can do, and also get them to chime in where they're from.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys have maybe been on one of our webinars before, but these are always best viewed in Google Chrome. So if you're in Internet Explorer or Firefox or some other web browser and it's not working right, that would be the first thing that I would try, is using the web browser Google Chrome. So do that, and then if you are having any problems with the webinar or not seeing the screen, things like that, you'd always try refreshing your screen. That seems to work. F5 would refresh your screen if you'd like to do that. And now we'd just like everyone to check in. So you can see there's a little chat bar off to the right hand of your screen. Just let us know what city and state you're watching from. So it looks like we got Edmond, Oklahoma, San Diego, California, La Cruces, New Mexico, Glendale, Arizona, so all around the country, Tacoma, Washington, Utah, Texas, Michigan, New Jersey, Virginia. Exciting. So we got a great mix of the whole country here. There's Connecticut, Kansas. So throughout the webinar, if you have any questions that you have or anything at all, this would be a great place for you to chime in with your question. And we have Joel McKinnon on the call as well with us. You don't see him, but he's going to be helping to moderate those questions and answer any of those questions that people might have. And for those of you that are just jumping on and didn't hear me before, Google Chrome is the best web browser to use while you are watching this webinar. So if you're an Internet Explorer or some other kind of web browser, you might want to get into this through Google Chrome. And then if you have any problems with the audio or the visual, try pressing F5 to refresh your screen, or just clicking the refresh button.
Awesome. You know, obviously being technology, you never know what's going to go right or go wrong. It's always great when things are working well, but sometimes, again, with technology, you never know, and especially when you got two presenters in two different parts of the country, it even makes it more interesting. So, Mike, I appreciate you being on this with me today. We're excited about sharing with you how truly easy it is to actually set up a blog, get a blog going. And as a matter of fact, before we dive into the webinar, we actually have a little poll that we'd like to ask you guys that are on this webinar with us. And the poll's going to pop up on the right-hand side of your screen, but it's pretty simple. Is, do you currently have a blog? Just yes or no. We just kind of want to get a feel for the people that are on this webinar, if you currently have one or not, because we're going to actually, again, this webinar is designed to try to teach people how easy it is to actually get one going. But again, for those of you who are on this that may already have one, there's going to be some information that you're going to be able to take away from the webinar as well. So again, if you can take a few moments and answer that poll, I'm going to actually go over to today's agenda of what we're going to be talking with throughout this next approximately 45 minutes. First of all, we're going to share with you how to pick a URL. And what a URL is. For those of you who are really beginners in this World Wide Web stuff, what is a URL? We're going to be sharing what that is. The second thing we're going to talk about is, where to host a blog, and what does hosting mean? A lot of people, again, who are brand new don't even have an idea of what do we mean by hosting. So we're going to talk about that also. Number three, the step three, is how to install your blogging software. And what is the blogging software, and choosing your theme of your blog. So those are the three easy steps, and again, as we go through them, you're going to see how really truly easy it can be to get a blog going. For those of you who actually hang with us as far as to the end of this webinar, we actually have some great options that we're going to give everyone as far as to make this easier as far as to get a blog going. But also some special offers specifically from the Social Heroes that will help a lot of you out as far as not only in blogging, but with a lot of the different stuff going on with social media today. So let's take a look before we dive into the part one and see what's going on with the poll. It looks like 89, almost 90% of people have not got their blog started yet, which is perfect. About 11% have. Which is good also. We're going to have some options that Mike and I are going to share with you today, even for those of you who maybe have a blog going, but maybe you're not happy with it. That we've got some options for you as well. So that's awesome.
Keith, for those 11% of you that do have a blog, I'd like to take a look at them at some point. So if you guys would feel comfortable, put your URL or the link to your blog right there on the right-hand side, and maybe some of us can go check them out and see how they look.
Yeah, in the chat, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Because, again, I think a lot of us can learn from each other. I know the Social Heroes try to share as much as we can amongst the 6 of us about, hey, what's working for you. And a lot of times we change a lot of our blog stuff just based on what we're learning from each other. So that's a great idea, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing that idea. So let's dive into today's webinar. First of all, again, step one is talking about where to get a custom URL or your own URL, or basically what a URL is. For those of you who are brand new, is that address that you type at the top of your web browser that brings you to different websites. That's a URL. And getting a custom URL is important for many reasons, especially if you are a small business owner, or as many of you that are on this webinar are insurance agency owners, but we have actually people watching this webinar that are in different businesses. The two main, there's lots of great reasons to have a custom URL, but the two primary reasons to get a custom URL is, number one, to help out your SEO. That's search engine optimization. When people are searching for you or your business, it's important that they're able to find you. And so having a customized URL makes it so much easier for people to find you when they're doing searches online. And so that's why one primary reason why it's so very, very important to have a custom URL. The second reason, and we're going to talk about this a little bit today, and we have also in our DAM Academy talked about having a custom email, which having your custom URL allows you to have a custom email, which when you're trying to develop your LinkedIn pages, especially your business page, it requires you to have a custom email. You can't use a Gmail account. You can't use other accounts that you don't own the URL to. So that's another reason why having a custom URL is also a great thing to do. Mike, anything else to add in this as far as customizing why it's important for the URL?
I mean, you really summed it up. I've seen a couple people that have posted some of the blogs that they have, and one of the reasons that I really like is that for example, if you go through Blogger or some of the other sites, your URL is going to be blogger.com/ and then your username, which I just don't like. I'd rather have something like MikeSchmiezik.com, or you see there JoelMcKinnon.com, or the HesleyInsuranceAgency.com. I think that represents a much stronger brand than just piggybacking off of like a Blogger site or some of the other ones out there.
Yeah, and again, all about when you're talking about search engines and people being able to find you, the credibility when people find articles that you've been written, example, on your blog, that raises your authority level. People say, that this guy, this agency, this business must really know what they're talking about, because they have they've been found, which is an important thing. And this particular slide, we've given you some examples, some ideas on maybe what kind of URL or web address that you can choose. Again, we just listed 3 different options here. From number 1, your personal name, and by the way, I specifically recommend that even if you don't want to use your personal name for your website or your blog site, having that or securing that URL, just having it and you owning it, it could be a good thing, especially if you have a popular name like one of the Social Heroes, Angela Johnson. Johnson obviously is a very popular name. And so I don't even know if that particular URL is even available, Angela Johnson. But if it was, and I was her, I would definitely secure that, because I think Angela's actual web address is different than her last name. But like, we're giving you some examples: KeithWanowski.com, MikeSchmizik.com. Your business name is also another great URL to choose. And actually, that's what I use for my blog site, is WayneAssoc.com, because again, my agency's, if you want to say legal identity, is Wanowski and Associates. So I purchased the WayneAssoc.com just to make it easier. And we're going to talk about easy, by the way, too, is whenever you're deciding on your URL, try to make it easy for people to remember, but also for people to type. When you have a really long URL, it makes it much harder for people to type in that bar at the top. So especially even like with my name, Keith Wanowski, is a long name. You want to think about that as you're designing your URLs or choosing your URLs. InsuranceAnswersTN.com is also a URL that I own for my blog site, because again, my blog site is called Insurance Answers. And WeAreSocialHeroes.com obviously is our We Are Social Heroes account. And if you have specific products maybe that you're selling, purchasing the URL or having a URL for your product could be a great thing as well. Example, DAM Academy, our DAM Academy. We have DAMAcademy.com. Also, an example for Colorado, where Mike's at, maybe you have an opportunity to purchase the URL CO for ColoradoAutoInsurance.com. So again, just trying to give you guys some ideas on why, or some different URLs that you might want to choose or think about. Anything else to add on this, Mike, about adding or choosing URL?
I have a couple things to add, and then it looks like we have a few questions that we can go over as well. But one thing I would say is try to make your URL as easy to remember as possible and as easy to spell as possible. And I know some of these examples we used aren't necessarily like that, because unfortunately, the internet, a lot of people have been buying up web domains, so you have to get kind of creative. But don't use a Z in place of an S, or different things like this, that if you want to be able to give someone your web address and they're going to be able to remember it without writing it down. You don't have to say, oh, that's 2 S's at the end, or things like that. Just try to pick something that's as easy to remember and easy to spell.
I agree. That's so important. Even like with Wanowski and Associates, which I try to abbreviate, with just Wayne Assoc, we have to spell that out almost every single time. So, and again, I found that out actually after we purchased it. So it is important as far as to, make sure it's easy. And let's try to tackle some of these questions before we get into the slides, Mike.
So it looks like Bonnie asks if we can get rid of the poll screen. I haven't seen anyone else have that question, so I don't know.
Sure.
Is that something she can do, or okay?
It should be gone now.
Okay.
And there should be a little drop-down arrow too, Bonnie, if you still see it on your screen, that you can just click on the drop-down and it should get rid of it as well.
And then we have a question here that someone has a website provided by the company they represent. Should I still set up a personal URL? And my answer to that would be yes. So a lot of times, if you represent a company, maybe you're a real estate agent and you're with Metro Brokers, or if you're an insurance agent, the company that you represent is going to set up a special website for you. What we're talking about is setting up a separate website or a blog website that's really going to assist in your search engine optimization. It's going to assist in getting you found online. So yes, I would recommend setting one up, even if you have one provided by your company that you represent.
And that being said, Mike, I think it's important too that whatever company you represent, especially if you are a licensed, as far as like most of us are, insurance agents, but if your business includes licensing and your company has to adhere to guidelines, I would absolutely recommend you pull up those guidelines and make sure that you understand what they are, so that you're not breaking those guidelines when you're creating even your own site, including maybe using their images, their logos, that kind of stuff. It's important that whatever company you represent, that you obviously don't want to break their guidelines, if that makes sense. You agree, Mike?
Yeah, of course. You don't want to jeopardize any relationships you have with your companies. Here, Karen has a comment or a question. She has a URL, but it only redirects to her company site. So that's fine. I mean, because because I know that your company URL might be a little difficult to remember, or it's not just something that you can give to somebody and they're going to remember it. But so that's fine. I have that as well. If you go to coloradosbestinsurance.com, it redirects to my company given website. But we still suggest you set up another one for blogging purposes.
Yeah, and again, if you own just the URL and that's all you're using right now, you don't actually have a blog set up yet, I would definitely, Karen, what you're doing as far as redirecting that to, even your company site, which is already provided to you, is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But actually adding a blog part is pretty simple, as hopefully you're going to see today as we go through this webinar. And we actually kind of recommend that because again, it can really help out assisting in your SEO, especially on your blog. You can actually redirect people that come to your blog back to your company site as well. So lots of good opportunities. I think Martha has a question there too. Why do you have two URLs? And Martha, actually, that's a super question that we get asked a lot as far as should I even own two? I think many of us, the social heroes, own even more than two, and there's nothing wrong with owning multiple URLs, because even like what Karen's doing, she has a URL and it's pointing. You can actually have your URL actually, when someone goes there and enters that in the website, it actually redirects, is what the term is, to a different site. So you can actually have multiple different names or URLs redirect to one specific site. So owning several different ones might be beneficial, simply because if someone maybe is typing that in the address bar at the top, maybe doing a search for a specific name or phrase, maybe that's in your URL and it would redirect to your page. So Mike, do you have anything else to add on that as far as Martha's question?
No, I think you got it.
Okay. We have any other ones before we move on to the how to get that URL?
We have a question, can I make it so it does both? I assume the question is go to a blog and your company page, and no, you would need two different URLs to do something like that.
Yes, but that is a great question. Yeah, Mike got it right on the button there. And again, let's get into this more as far as step one, as far as where do we get a URL for those people that don't even have a URL. First of all, you can go lots of places on the internet to get one. First of all, we recommend Bluehost. It is actually a online service provider that they do a lot of different things. Bluehost does. The reason why we recommend them is for, number one, their reliability, their ease of use in working with them, customer service, all sorts of things. Also, Bluehost, as a side note, is on a partner with the Social Heroes, an affinity partner with us. But they are one place that you can go, as we're going to lead you through here, on where to get a URL. But just as you know, there is some other places online where you can actually purchase some things you might have heard, like GoDaddy, and some other places you might have heard on TV. But we recommend Bluehost, and you're going to see why as we go through these screenshots. So Mike, why don't you share with them how to do this?
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to pop in, by the way, that that pop in as far as that they can actually follow along with Bluehost. Hopefully you'll see it on the right-hand side of your screen right now that are viewing. If you click on that Learn More Now button, it will actually bring you to this screen, and you can follow along right with Mike and as he's guiding you through on how to get a URL. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So this is the screen that you're going to see when you follow that link that Keith shared in the group. If you're not going to walk through the steps right now, you can always go to our website, wearesocialheroes.com, and click on resources, and you can get there through there as well. So the first thing you're going to do is click on the green button that says Get Started Now, and once you do that, you'll see this is what pops up, and it's going to ask you what kind of plan do you want to set up on. Now, I suggest, based on the types of sites that we're setting up, basic is probably going to serve your needs just fine. You can see there that you're going to get one website, you're going to get 50 gigabytes of space on there, which is quite a bit. If you need to upgrade it at any point, you can always do that, but I would just sign up with the basic for the types of sites that most of you are going to be building. So once you select that,
whoop.
I think yeah. So once you select that, this is the screen that you're going to see. And now this is the part that you actually get to select the type of, or the URL that you want to use. So right there where it says new domain, you would go into that box and you could try out a URL that you might want. So maybe you try your first last name. And if you do that, you can see here it defaults to .com. Now you can change that to different endings. I think .us is one of them. There's quite a few different ones that you can pick from. I like .com just because it's what the majority of people are used to seeing. So, go ahead, Keith. Were you about to say something?
No, and when you get it onto this page, if you're following along with us, and you're going to see that there is a lot of different, if you want to say endings, the .com, .us, we get asked to us a lot, hey, what's the difference and which one should I buy? Again, the most popular one obviously is .com, but I think it also really depends on what kind of business you are. I have a good friend of mine, networking friend that actually owns a farm here locally near Franklin, and they just actually added a new ending that's .farm. So she actually purchased a URL that's the name of her farm, and it just says .farm. So it just gives her an option as far as to be able to have people easily find her. So it's just thought we brought that up as well.
Yep. So we're setting up a domain today called wearesocialheroes.us. Now our site is actually wearesocialheroes.com, so we couldn't obviously register that again. So we typed in that new domain spot, We Are Social Heroes, changed the drop down to US, and clicked next.
Perfect. And Mike, should we tell them about this part over here too? I have a domain.
So if you've already purchased a URL from somewhere else and you haven't really done anything with it, or you're like that one attendee who said that they just auto-forward it to another site, you can move that domain over to Bluehost so that Bluehost then starts doing the web hosting for you. And that's what you would do there.
Perfect. Okay, so that's how easy it is to search as far as to see what URL is available, number one. Again, we gave you some examples earlier as far as from your personal name to your business name, that kind of stuff. So that's the place you can start doing some searches on Bluehost to see, number one, if it's available. And it will immediately, by the way, I know we're using screenshots. We're not using the live version just simply because we're trying to alleviate any potential technical difficulties. But again, if you're following along live with Mike and I, again, it should immediately tell you if that URL is not available, but also tell you if it is available. It should say, congratulations, it is available, and here's the next step. And that's basically, the next step is you choosing the place to host your website, and also they would actually manage your URL for you as far as you'd register your URL through them. Again, we use Bluehost for that as well, or suggest using Bluehost for that. But let's talk about what hosting is, because some people might not even know what are you talking about, this hosting thing. Basically what hosting is, and like what Bluehost is, they are a service or provider that has multiple servers, computers basically, at their office, and they basically store your website on their computer that is connected to the internet, so that when people are searching the internet, the World Wide Web, they're able to actually find you, and your site was actually located on their server. So it's available 24 hours a day. Bluehost is the one that's maintaining their servers, making sure that the uptime, the speed, all that stuff is reliable for you. So that's basically what hosting is, and that's what Bluehost does, is you're able to actually, if you want to say, purchase some room and time on one of their computers. Does that explain it pretty well, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
And we do have a question here that hasn't been answered yet. I don't know if we want to get into this before we get too far into this step that we're currently on. But Eric says that he posts on Facebook, Twitter, Google, and LinkedIn every day using Buffer, and it's great. Why should he blog in addition to doing this?
Well, that is number one, Eric. That is awesome that you're posting every day, and especially using Buffer. If you really like using Buffer, which I use Buffer a lot, the cool thing is, Eric, though, you can actually take some of your own blog content and still use Buffer, but you can actually take the blog post that you make on your own site and post it to all those different places, either using your site, but you can also use Buffer. And the good news about that is it actually then drives people back to your site instead of them being, on, out there in nowhere land. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. Any other questions before we dive in, Mike, on the steps on?
Yeah, Jody has a question, but that's the next slides here. Peggy asks, if we already have WordPress, do we need Bluehost as well?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, chances are, I'm assuming, Peggy, that you already have your site hosted somewhere, because usually you wouldn't have WordPress maybe even installed even on your own computer, but you would have it installed somewhere if you already have it hosted somewhere with someone else, whether, let's say, GoDaddy or any of these other web hosting providers. Hopefully I'm asking that correctly. If you do have WordPress and you are hosting it somewhere else, you can easily actually take your whole site, and actually the Bluehost people or any of these other hosting sites will help you transfer your whole site and everything you have on it to their hosting service using, again, WordPress. And again, we're going to talk about WordPress also as we get into the webinar here, because that is the platform or software, I should say, that all of us use for our blogs.
Yeah, and Peggy, if you want to give us the link to your blog site, that would help us as well. Maybe we could answer your question a little bit better. So now this is the next screen that you are going to see as you go through the sign-up process on Bluehost. And this is all pretty self-explanatory. They just need to know your name, business name, address, email, things like that. So now this screen, this is going to, the first thing it's asking you is your account plan. So do you want to sign up for a 12-month term, a 24-month term, or a 36-month term? Now, as long as funds aren't an issue to you, I would just recommend you sign up for the 3-year plan because that's going to help your search engine optimizations. Web crawlers and internet providers, they can see how long that URL has been registered for, and they look at URLs that are locked in for a longer period of time as better sites that are going to be more likely to show up on a search. Since we were just registering this for the purposes of this webinar, we just did a 12-month since we don't need another site. This is just training purposes. So you can see doing that would cost us $59.40. These add-ons, we didn't go through any of these add-ons. I'm sure they're great, but our own We Are Social Heroes website, we don't use any of these, but you can if you're going to find value in it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike, as far as, and you can see at the top, by the way, as far as the more years you choose, the lower the price gets, as far as down as low as $3.49, if you want to say breaking it down per month. So as Mike said, I think that's a great point, not only SEO-wise, but you can also save some money by taking it longer. Mm-hmm. So that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then at the bottom of that page is where you put in your payment information.
Yeah, down
right there. Yep. And then there'll be a submit button there. So this is just telling you it's all set up. A couple more add-on options, which we just went ahead and said no thanks to. But like I said, if you find value in these, by all means, do it. So once we click no thanks, this is what we see. So you can see here that everything's set up and a confirmation email has been sent to my email address. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is to set up your password.
Now, Mike, this password that we're talking about here is what is that for? This password that we're creating?
Yeah. So this password, if you go to Bluehost.com, the password will get you into what I call your dashboard within Bluehost, where you can change your password, maybe upload themes to your website, just a lot of different things. So this is not the login that you're going to use to edit your website. This is the login to log into Bluehost. So maybe
Perfect.
if you need to change a credit card information, things like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know the screen is very small as far as the screen snapshot here, but you can see at the top, we are on the screenshot logged into our wearesocialheroes.us account. But this password here, like Mike was saying, is creating a password so that you can actually log in to Bluehost, who's hosting your site, with that information, so that you could, get in and make corrections, download themes, that kind of stuff. And so I think it brings you here. Is that correct, Mike? After you do that?
Yep. So once you do that, now it's going to ask you to log in. So this is where you would put in your web address and the password that you just set up on the previous screen. And once you do that, it's going to put you into this. This is what I call the dashboard of Bluehost.com.
Yeah, and it's from this dashboard, or I think sometimes they refer to it as the C panel or maybe control panel. I don't know. But anyway, that's the place where you can actually do a lot of different things, from setting up email accounts, again, different themes, WordPress builders, stuff like that. We're going to actually share with you in just a little bit later in the webinar. This is where also you're going to install WordPress for the first time, which is free, again, software. But I think I'm going to actually hand it back over to Mike here. And Mike's going to show you from the Bluehost control panel here about how easy it is now that you've purchased your custom URL, which again could be your name, could be your agency name, could be your business name, how easy it is to set up a custom email account. So Mike, if you can share your screen.
Keith, I'm running into the same technical difficulties as the other day where it's not letting me share my screen.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
However, it is extremely easy to do this. You can see right on this screen it says Email Manager. All you do is you click on that, and then it's going to open up another screen that's going to give you the option to set up or create an email account. You click that, you just select what you want your email account to be. You can just have it be info or billing or your first name, and you can receive an email or send an email within a minute of doing that. And if you've watched any of the videos that we've made for the DAM Academy, one of the things we suggest you do is set up a business page in LinkedIn. One of the biggest problems people have with that is that you need a unique email address to do that. It can't be a Gmail account, it can't be a Yahoo, Hotmail, anything like that. It has to be unique. So that's another benefit of setting up your site, is that you're going to get a unique email address, or maybe people can email you at ryan@englandagency.com, things like that.
Awesome. Okay, and let's before we dive into the next section too, Mike, let's answer some of the questions. Looks like Peggy had one on here too, that we don't have a hosting site yet, just a WordPress account, and it looks like from that URL.
She shared that, and I actually broadcasted that question, so hopefully everyone can see the URL that we're referring to. But she's just using the free WordPress site, similar to Blogger, like we talked about earlier in the webinar. So that URL, since it has WordPress in the address, is not going to do it nearly as much benefit to Peggy for her search engine optimization as if she set up her own URL doing the steps that we're outlining here.
Yes, yeah, and by the way, I think Mike, I think you started out, with Blogger. I think if I remember correctly, I know Joel McKinnon, one of the other social heroes, started out, I think, on Blogger, or maybe even Renee as well. If you want to just try to get started in blogging and try to understand what it is, again, starting at any of those places is maybe not a bad thing, even though, again, setting up your own custom one, as you're seeing so far, is pretty easy. I mean, it's just a few steps, few clicks, and you're actually not only having your own URL, but you can actually create your own blog, and it's not very expensive. I mean, you saw the costs with Bluehost. I mean, shoot, for less than $100 a year, you can have your own website and your own URL. So it is very affordable also. But going through the free version, if you want to say through WordPress and or Blogger, there's necessarily not a bad thing if you want to get going and learning about where do I start. Oh, and
Yep.
Wesley's actually added something. He's actually one of the Bluehost people from Bluehost, and he's saying, oh, good. If we have questions specific to the Bluehost, Wesley can probably chime in and help us out. So we appreciate that, Wesley. Thank you.
hmm Yeah, and then
Um,
there's another question here from Karen asking if Bluehost communicates with her about the number of hits or other statistics. I'm not sure if Bluehost does that, but once you're set up with your WordPress site, there'll be a lot of analytics that you can look at that are going to show you how people are finding your site, where they're coming from when they land on your site, if they found you through a Google search, the exact words that they were searching for, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're going to see, because the next step that we're going to lead you through is actually, now that you have your URL purchased, you have your hosting purchased, and it's all set up, and you can log right into, again, in our situation, you're logging into Bluehost's dashboard, as Mike shared with you. You're going to now actually download the software that is going to be stored, again, on their server, on Bluehost server. That's where it's going to be, but it's called WordPress. It's probably one of the most common software used as far as for if you want to say building a website. Very, very easy to use. Lots of different things that you can do, and you don't need to be a computer programmer to be able to use it. You just need to be able to follow directions, I guess, is the easy thing. But inside that WordPress software, they do have a lot of data information that does gather as far as who's coming to your site, what was the most viewed pages, all that kind of stuff. So it is pretty powerful. So let's, if there's no more questions that we need to dive into at this point, well, actually, Mike, do you have any? Was there any other ones that you saw that we need to address, or?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's one question. Someone says they've been using an email address for 8 years, and now you want to use a custom email address. How do you convert everything? You don't really have to convert everything. We're just talking about if you set up a custom email address, that's going to allow you to set up your LinkedIn business page, which is going to help you communicate with your customers even better, and it's going to help out your SEO as well. As far as converting everything, you might need to talk to a local tech person that can help you with that. That's probably a lot more than we can get into right now.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to convert anything. I mean, I know myself, I have two different emails. I have my custom URL one, which is, again, just keithw@wayneassociates.com. And my staff, again, they all have their own, their name and wayneassociates.com as far as email, because we have our own email server within our office. But again, if you have one that's company provided, and especially, I know, again, a lot of us who are licensed, and there is special regulations that we have to use if we're going to communicate with particular clients, that we have to use that particular email. I would highly recommend you do what your company asks you to do to stay compliant. Not just to have a custom email, but the custom email does allow us to do a lot of special things, like Mike was mentioning, especially on LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Yep. So the next thing that you want to do is tie WordPress to Bluehost. So the purpose of this is that all the edits that you're going to make to your website are done through WordPress. This is just pretty much allowing WordPress and Bluehost to talk to each other, so that when you make those changes on WordPress, they're going to be reflected online. So once you're on this screen, you click Install WordPress right there under Website Builders.
Yeah, and again, you would be logged into your Bluehost account. That's where that, it asks you that URL that you just registered with, and that password you just created should bring you here. You click on the little blue button that looks like a W down here, the icon that says Install WordPress, and it brings you here. Right, Mike?
That's right. So you can see that we are teaching you how to do it yourself. So you would just go ahead and install WordPress. They also have different options where that they can help you with it, or they'll do it yourself. We have not done that before, so we don't really know what you'd expect by going through that. But you go ahead and click Install, and then you're going to see this screen. Now, if you own multiple domain sites, there's that drop-down box, and it was going to ask you which domain do you want to install WordPress on. Most of you are probably just going to have one there, so just hit Check Domain. And now check that second box that says I have read the terms and conditions. After you read it, of course.
Yes, yes. That's good.
And then click Install Now.
Okay.
So the install happened really quickly. For a brief period of time, that toolbar up top said it was installing. It was completed by the time we could take that screenshot. So the next thing you're going to want to do is hit View Credentials.
Yeah, and then keep in mind, what just as a little going backwards here for a minute, what we're doing in these steps is simply downloading the free software called WordPress, and it's going on to, in this case, Bluehost's server, where that you just purchased some room, if you want to say, and so it's just downloading that so that we can use it to set up our site. And let me go to the next page here, Mike. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is that page. It says your install is complete, so go ahead and click on View Credentials. And now, right there at the very bottom of the screen where it says Alert, you want to click on View. So this is, it's going to give you your default login and password to get onto your WordPress site. So you can see there the URL of your site is wearesocialheroes.us. That's the one we've just been setting up. And then your admin URL, so what this means is this is where you want to go to make updates to your website or make any kind of changes to your website. And then obviously username and password. So those are the usernames and passwords that you are going to need to remember or write down somewhere to get into your WordPress site and make adjustments to that site.
Right, and that's what this second link you mean, Mike, as far as the admin link. If we're going to click on that, which we will in just a second, you'll see what we're talking about. We're going to use this username and then this password to be able to actually log in. I call it the backside of the website, but like you were saying, it's the admin portion. We're going to use these two, right? That's what we're using to get in.
Yep, and you can change that password once you log in the first time.
And this is it, right, Mike? This is the...
Yep, so that's what it's going to look like. So actually, if you went to wearesocialheroes.us/wp-admin, you would see this very site. And actually, a lot of websites, if you went there, you would see something like this, because the majority of all websites in the US right now are powered by WordPress. So this is what... the back end, as Keith mentioned, of WordPress looks like. So it's very easy to get set up. You can see right there, the first time you log in, it asks, would you like help launching your site? Just go ahead and click yes. So now these are the very first two things that it asks you, is your site title and your site description. So these two things are pretty important for SEO. If you look at any given moment at any of the web browsers that you have open, that site title, that's the wording that's in the tab of the URL. So like at the top of this page that you're looking at, it probably says Google Hangouts. That's the site title. So that might make sense to put something in there that people might be searching for, something that really well describes your business. I just went ahead and said no on this, or I guess nope is the
Nope,
proper
yeah.
answer.
But again, what it's asking, I don't know if many of you can read this, but I know because I know it's really small, but it says, are you going to update your site with news or blog posts? Some of you may want to use posts. Again, nothing wrong with that. If you do, just obviously click on the yes button. But for this purposes, we might had clicked no on the setup.
Mm-hmm. And then launch your site. So this is asking, do you want a static welcome page, or do you want your most recent updates? So what that means is, as you're posting new articles, do you want those to be on your, showing up the newest things that you've posted, or do you want the exact same things to always be listed there?
Right, and many times for businesses, depending on, again, what type of site you want to have and that kind of stuff, having a static welcome page might be the more preferred way, but again, really is up to you. And the good news is, even if you choose either of these right now, you can always switch it at any time, because you're going to have full control over what the site looks like. But this, all it's asking you here is, when people come to your site for the very first time and they hit your home page, what do you want them to see? What do you want it to look like is basically what this is saying.
Yep, so just click which one you want. This is asking if you want a starter contact page or contact us page. Most websites that you go to, you're going to see some tab there is going to say contact us. So this will just help you build that. I just hit no thanks just to show you how to get through all this. And then this is asking, do you want to connect Jetpack profile to improve security, track stats, and grow traffic? You do probably want to do that, and you just hit connectwordpress.com. And then you're just going to need to use your WordPress login for that. But we're going to click Not Now for right now.
Right, and I can't remember who had asked about the tracking of stats earlier, as far as in the feed here. But again, this is where you definitely want to connect if you want. This is a free thing, by the way. It doesn't cost anything to connect to WordPress.com. But again, it will connect this Jetpack, which you can see over the left-hand side here, which really does do a great job at tracking some of the stats on the site for you. So I would recommend, if you want to go ahead and do that.
So now it's really close to being ready to launch your site. So you can see right there, just click Customize Your Site.
This button down here, yeah.
So this is what the page would look like at this point. And if you go to the site right now, that's how it looks. But there's a lot of customization that you can do at this point. So you can see off to the left, WordPress has multiple different themes that you can select from. This current theme is free. There's a lot of them out there that might charge you $49 or something like that. But they have, I don't know, maybe 10 or so free ones that you can choose from by clicking Change. And then you can really customize this quite a bit by changing the colors, a header image. That's where you could upload a picture that would be across the top of the site. A background image, if instead of just the white background, if you wanted a picture back there that represented your business. And then right here you can see under Homepage, this is your front page. Click Edit to change the contents. Simply by pressing Edit right there, you can make that say whatever you want it to.
Yeah, and it's just important when we're talking about themes here, and we're just going to highlight this for a moment. But when you're choosing a theme, which there is lots of them, not only through WordPress but also through other providers, the key that you want to look for is to make sure that whatever theme you choose is what's called mobile friendly or mobile responsive, because keep in mind, a lot of people are searching sites now with smartphones, and you want to make sure that your site looks good on those mobile devices. And if the theme that you choose is not mobile responsive or mobile friendly, then it will not look good, not only on search, but a lot of times now with Google especially, they won't even show your site if it's not mobile friendly when a person's doing a search on Google on their phone. So just kind of keep that in mind too as you choose your theme. Make sure that it is mobile friendly, a theme. So basically that's it as far as giving the basics of how to set up or get your URL. Number two, how to choose a hosting site, and then number three, setting up initially the WordPress software and getting a theme going. There's the next steps that you're going to want to do is, number one, choose and customize your theme. You're going to want to add some plugins to your WordPress site. And again, the plugin basically is just allows you to do some more customization on your site. Like you can add a map to your site and other if you want to say links to your other social media platforms, all those kind of things you can do as far as with plugins. You're going to want to customize your site, and then the last thing, adding additional content, whether it's product content, blog content, whatever. Those are the next steps you're going to want to do. Now, I promised you guys that for those of you who are staying with us, that we'd give you some options, but also some special offers. Again, today's webinar we learned how to get the custom URL, where to host your site, and again setting up the WordPress software. Of course, again we recommend, and we all again use the Bluehost, and again I popped in their link again. If you didn't get it at the beginning of this webinar, you can click on that Learn More Now button, and it will take you right back into the Bluehost site, and you can get your own URL and get hosted and download the software right away. Also, again, as I mentioned, again, we're going to want to add things like plugins and customization. Also, some of you might not know how to do that. We also have, as you've heard us talk about, as far as our DAM Academy. And our DAM Academy is an online academy that teaches anybody, but those people that are in the academy, how to use social media and digital media marketing to improve their businesses. And for those of you who are on this particular webinar today, we have a special, again, going on for you guys, that if you want to have access to the DAM Academy, let me go back here, you can actually get into the DAM Academy and save yourself 33% on getting into the DAM Academy by using the promo code when you go through the checkout, just DAM blog, and it's got to be spelled exactly how it is there, D-A-M-M and capital, and then B-L-O-G, so DAM blog at the checkout. It will actually, discount the total price by 33% just for being on this webinar today. So in the DAM Academy, I don't know, again, Mike, you're saying you're still having problems obviously sharing.
Yeah, it's still not letting me, but I did look within the DAM Academy because I wanted to be able to show our attendees some of this stuff, but there's a lot of videos on customizing your blog. There's one called Plugins Every Blog Site Should Have, because obviously we only had an hour today. We couldn't get into everything. There's a video on adding widgets and plugins to your website, how to set up the navigation menu, selecting and activating your blog theme, and then setting up your blog, the custom method, which is kind of what we showed you right now. And then there's even more videos than that, but those are the ones that might be most helpful to people that are on this webinar.
Yeah, and again, if you've already taken the time to follow along today to get your URL, to get your hosting going, to actually get the initial WordPress downloaded, but you want some help as far as how to do the rest, as far as customizing with the plugins and customizing the rest of the site, here is one option. Again, it's through the DAM Academy, and plus you're going to learn a lot more than what Mike just shared. There's like, I want to say right now we have probably 92 how-to videos up in the Academy, from how to set up your Facebook page to LinkedIn to Twitter, how to do prospecting and all sorts of other things. So again, if you are interested in moving forward on your own and doing it yourself, but you want to learn how, I'd recommend highly getting into DAM Academy, again, using the promo code DAMBLOG to be able to save yourself the 33% even starting today. Also, one other option that we want to bring to your at least to know about is if you don't want to do it yourself, but you want to have someone else do it. We have an affiliation with One Ton Creative. They are pros at building specifically WordPress sites. And a matter of fact, we had them redo our site, the wearesocialheroes.com site. I think Mike also just recently had them redo his site, update his theme, and all that kind of stuff. These guys are really, really good. And if you want to have someone else do it for you, again, click on the special offer that you see popped up there. We have again they've agreed as far as to discount their total setup package by over $500 for the people that are watching this particular webinar, to have them do it for you. And again, this includes things like not only helping design your site, setting up the menus in the front page and stuff like that, making sure it's mobile friendly, but also spending some time one-on-one with you, teaching you how to use the site, including doing updates yourself, because you own the site, right, Mike? It's going to be theirs. They're going to still have full control over it.
That's right. You're essentially just hiring someone to design it for you, and obviously Keith and I know how to do these things, and we're pretty good at it, but your time's worth something as well. And if you go to wearesocialheroes.com, that's our blog site. We hired that out to get it done. If you go to my blog site, MikeSchmizik.com, that's a site that One Ton did for me.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, very professional, and they'll work with you hand in hand. So as Mike said, I mean, all of our time is worth something to us. If you don't want to take the time to do it yourself, they're a great option as far as to utilize to get it done for you. So just as we're wrapping up today, again, I don't know if there's other questions we can also answer, but as Mike's looking through that, I want to bring to your attention some next steps. Number one, get started now. We've given you some ideas as far as how to get started on your own blog. Highly recommend get going one way or another. Use the options, do whatever, but get going. The second thing is you're going to receive a replay link of this particular recorded webinar. Within a few hours, it'll be emailed directly to you because you have registered, I should say, for this webinar. You'll get the replay link. So if you missed anything that Mike and I had said or shared, you'll be able to watch that replay at any time because, like I said, the emails can be sent to you. Of course, if you have any additional questions, you can always find us too at wearesocialheroes.com, or you can send an email to us at support@wearesocialheroes.com. We also recommend, if you haven't checked out wearesocialheroes.com yet, our site, we do have an incredible podcast, a lot of material up there for free, but we also have a podcast up there called the DAM podcast that are providing a lot of great information for business owners, from hiring staff to system setups to all sorts of things that a business owner may want to know as they're forming their business. It's a free podcast. You can actually subscribe to it also on iTunes. So I would highly recommend as far as checking that out as well. So any other questions, Mike, that we had to address before we sign off today?
Deborah asked, what is the total cost with the discount? I'm pretty sure she was referring to the website design through One Ton. I think that's when her question popped up. Their design charge is $2,000. Their normal charge is $2,500. That looks like Wesley and Renee answered some of the other questions were in there, so nothing else open.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think Heather's got one at the end. At least I just saw that one. Do you update your company website too? Again, for SEO purposes, I know this is kind of off the topic of what we're talking about today, but that's a great question, Heather. For SEO purposes, with whatever your company will allow you to update on your company website, we highly recommend to customize that as much as you can for your business to get the best as you can as far as SEO out of it. So yes, we highly recommend that you try to update that as much as you can. Oh, okay. Now Deborah's asking as far as on the DAM Academy, what's the cost? Again, if you clicked on the link, again, the total cost I believe that we have on the sales page that you would get there was $897, and then there's 33% off of that. We also have an option to purchase it monthly if you can't afford as far as the one-time DAM Academy. The pricing, you can actually purchase it month to month as well, or you have a 10-pay, not a month to month, but a 10-payment option that will make it more affordable also. And there's a discount. You still get the 33% discount on that as well. So lots of different options that we're just trying to allow everybody that we can as far as to get involved in the Academy. And also, again, if you need to have your website designed by One Ton, you can do that as well. And I think that's it as far as questions, Mike. Is anything else you want to add before we close today?
Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/wearesocialheroes. And as you get these blog sites set up, start sharing them with us. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, and again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time. I know an hour out of anybody's time is a lot nowadays because we're all extremely busy, but I want to thank everyone for their time today. And again, please reach out to us if you have any questions at all as far as either at wearesocialheroes.com, send us an email at support@wearesocialheroes.com, or just find us online. I know you can find Mike and I or any of the social heroes online at any of the different sites. Reach out to us, say hi, and we appreciate it. So thanks so much for your time. Again, be watching for that replay link. If you want to watch it again, you feel free to watch it, and we look forward to seeing you somewhere online.